So Michael Popak, Legal AF. Well, when you let your party be hijacked by a depraved, mendacious, lying narcissist who believes that Second Amendment rights are unlimited and is in favor of high-capacity magazines and uses violent vitriol and rhetoric and aims it at Supreme Court justices and other people he considers to be his enemy, you get a shooting out in front of a Supreme Court justice's house. Justice Sotomayor had a security detail, as they are now required to have, mainly because of the environment that we now live in, the society we now live in, because Donald Trump gives license to people to act on their worst instincts. And because he makes and calls the enemy of the people the liberal progressive justices on the United States Supreme Court. I mean, this isn't the Pelican Brief, a movie from the 1980s or 90s. This is real life. Supreme Court justices' lives are in danger, especially on the left. And now we've got a brazen carjacking attempt where a U.S. Marshal, who, thank God, was sitting out in front of Justice Sotomayor's house in where she's located, was able to pull out his service revolver and shoot the attempted carjacker several times, disabling him, but not killing him. That guy, who's an 18-year-old, Kendrick Flowers, was brought to the hospital alive and has now been charged with attempted carjacking, and because he also had a high-capacity magazine attached to his handgun, which is also illegal. And so I want to kind of bring all this together because the Republicans on the other side of the aisle like to talk about these things as just anecdotes. They have no real-world consequences. When there's a school shooting and more than 20 children, toddlers, and their teachers trying to protect them are shot and killed, that's a false flag event. That didn't happen. That's like 9/11. That was an inside job. Jan 6th, that was an inside job led by government informants and FBI agents. That couldn't happen on American soil. Donald Trump knows that he has been giving license and permission to those in our society who have ripped up the social contract and are now just unhinged, weaponized, activated as a sleeper cell for Donald Trump and willing to go after FBI agents, Supreme Court justices, and the like. So far, we have avoided blood being spilt. It was just a few years ago that Gabby Giffords, who was running for Senate as a congresswoman, was shot in the head during a campaign event. Federal judges and their families just got attacked in the last 2 years, right? There's a dead husband of a federal judge because he had the misfortune of opening the front door and facing a Trumper who fired his weapon. Same thing happened recently with, whenever Donald Trump sends out a bat signal to his cult followers, bad things happen. He calls law enforcement and the FBI agents, he says and claims falsely in a defamatory way, in a way to gin up violent responses and to stop the peaceful transfer of power and to deny the new election even before it even happens. And what happens as a result? Well, we know what happens. The Department of Justice Special Counsel's Office just listed it all to Judge Aileen Cannon in Fort Pierce in South Florida.